Hey guys, it's Miss K. I'm here to help you with the shaping of your dough. So we're using our basic sweet dough recipe today. And basically what we're doing is we're gonna shape it we're gonna be braiding again. So boys, I know some of us had trouble with the 3-strand braid, but all you have to remember is that your outside, so your left and your right outside alternate over the center piece. So one from this side over the center. So I'm going to demo it for you. So I've got the basic sweet dough recipe here. You guys will likely need to grease with Crisco. So I gave you the bar of Crisco, a 6 muffin tin. So I doubled my recipe today. So I have a well greased with Crisco muffin tin ready to go. I'm not exactly sure how many braids I'm gonna get. So I have my basic sweet dough kneaded for 5 minutes, rested for 10 underneath my bowl. Okay, I've got my sink full of hot soapy water back there ready for me. So always work in a clean environment. Get rid of dishes as you can. So if you don't need things, keep your environment fairly clean. So I've got my counter scraper. If you don't have a counter scraper, again, you can use an old credit card or some like old Tim Hortons card or any flat edge, and just kind of scrape down your counter. So I'm going to scrape mine down. I'm going to put some fresh flour down, but I'm not going to stick my hand in the bin because that's unsanitary. I'm going to stick a little cup in there and I'm going to pull from here. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll out a rectangle. Okay. So I need a rolling pin. Do I have a rolling? Oh, I have one right here. Perfect. Thank you. Oh, I found one. Perfect. So remember that when we want to roll a rectangle, you want to start with your dough already kind of in that shape, right? It's hard to roll a rectangle from a circle. So if you start with a sausage shape, where you kind of shape your dough into a sausage shape, it's easier for you. And you can just give it 4 or 5 pushes this way, 3 pushes that way, and you're already halfway there. Okay, so I'm just gonna roll it a little bit wider, okay, and we want it to be long, okay. Now I doubled my dough recipe. I wasn't sure how big it was going to be, but I just thought that the demo would be easier to show you if my dough was bigger. Make sure your dough is nice and pliable. You want to make sure it gets the full 10-minute rest in between. So this is looking pretty good to me. Get it into a nice rectangle. Okay. Good. All right. You're going to need a pizza wheel, or you could use a counter scraper, but do not cut on your parents' counter. That's all I can say. Now I'm going to score this down the middle, like that wasn't really the middle, Miss K. Down the middle. Scoring is marking without cutting to make sure that you're happy with the size. Now we want strands that are about 3 fingers in thickness. So three fingers, about 3 fingers, about 3 fingers, something like that, or slightly wider than 3 fingers is fine. Okay, so 3 fingers, 3 fingers. Who knows, maybe I'm gonna need a bigger muffin tin. Okay, so just to get an idea. All right, so I've just marked things just to give myself an idea of where I'm at. I'm gonna just make the markings at the end so that I can see it, because I still have to put on my cinnamon mixture. So what I've got here for, I hope this is enough, for my double dough recipe is I've got a half a cup of melted butter, and then I probably put in a cup of brown sugar, so packed into the measuring cup, put in, and then I probably put in a tablespoon of cinnamon. So you can see it's pretty pliable, and I did that for good reason. Now you guys can use a rubber spatula to kind of help you put this onto your dough. Just be careful, you don't want to rip it. Honestly, I usually do this with my hands. You guys can do this. I like to use really clean hands, and since you're in your own homes and you're cooking only for yourself or for your family, I think it's definitely safer. You can try to spread this out as much as you can. It's just like a paste, right? You want to still be able to see your markings though. So if you're doing half this recipe, I feel like you could get away with melting 60 mils of margarine and adding a half a cup or 80 and maybe 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar. Cinnamon, if you hate cinnamon, don't have to put it. It could just be a nice brown sugar roll. Okay, I love cinnamon. All right, well, we gotta get you, and make sure that you got a lot of cinnamon, right? Because you want the outer buns and the inner buns to be as delicious as each other. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm wearing gloves, so I'm gonna go over here and wash my hands because now I wanna cut these. Now it's gonna be a bit messy, but great creativity and art usually has a mess somewhere in between. Same with cooking and baking. There's always a mess in between. So I'm just gonna get a paper towel here and dry my hands because you don't really want wet hands when you're working with a dough. My hands are just super dry and so I'm using gloves because they really hurt. Okay. So I'm gonna use my pizza wheel. So I'm gonna cut my dough in half. So I'm actually cutting now. All right, so I see my markings that just left here at the end. And I am gonna use this piece, but not for demoing for you. I'm gonna cut the first strip. So you want a rectangular strip like this. Now you do not want to cut to the end. Now maybe I can put this strip in front so you can see better. There we go. I'm gonna get rid of this so you guys can see just the strip that I'm working on. All right. So this is the strip I'm working on. So I'm gonna turn it this way. All right, so I'm gonna use my pizza wheel. I'm not gonna cut it to the end because the strands need to be attached. So I'm gonna go almost to the end, but not quite. Now I'm going to separate the strands, even though they're still nicely attached together. If you detach them, just give them a pinch at the end. It's no big deal. It's getting folded under later anyway. Cross over the center, boys. So this is the new center. Over the center, over the center, over the center, over the center, and give the end a little squeeze. The next part is the best part. So now I'm gonna roll this up, okay? It's gonna be rolled up in a little bun there like this, and you're gonna roll them up and put them into your muffin tins like this, one after the other. Ideally, once they're all in the tin, you want to cover them either with paper towels or some type of towel. You want to let them sit for, like, if you wanted to use a whole bunch of time, like 30 or 45 minutes. But for this purposes, if you want to let it sit for 10 or 15, we allow that to proof, which means we've punched down the dough, the yeast has come back in contact with the sugar, which is its food source, and it's starting to produce carbon dioxide again. So the volume of each little bun is going to get bigger and bigger, and we want a nice, light, fluffy bun. So if you give it a little bit of time to proof, you're going to have a really excellent bun at the end of all of this hard work. So you see how big my little strips are here. So I'm going to keep going with this video, and then once I have them baked, I'll tag on what I ended off with. Now you can also make an icing sugar glaze. Put it in a Ziploc bag and pipe it on top when they're hot, which would be really good. We've done it before with the jam blossom. You could do it with cinnamon buns. You could do it with this. Just probably a half a cup of icing sugar, 15 to 30 milliliters in spoons, not like a whole glass of water. 30 mils of water or milk, and like 1 mil of vanilla. Put it in a Ziploc bag, cut off the tip, and then just drizzle it over top. All right, until I attach the other video, stay tuned. Ooh, I'm back. Look at those cinnamon rolls. Okay, so these are the cinnamon knots. They turned out good. What I did learn though, luckily I was smart and I put a jelly roll pan underneath. So set your rack to the middle, put these in the center, and then put a flat pan underneath of it. Because we're baking them in a muffin tin, what's happening is the butter and the brown sugar kind of go over the pan, and you don't want that on the bottom of your oven because it's horrible to clean. and it makes a lot of smoke, so put a pan underneath so that you at least just dirty just a pan instead of your oven. All right, so next thing, so they're golden brown, they look good. I grease my pan so they should come out just easily. But before I take them out, what I'm gonna do is I prepared a glaze. So I use the amounts that I told you before. I put it in my Ziploc bag. I'm gonna clip off the tip into the garbage can. Oops. And I'm just gonna give them just a little glaze, just a touch. Icing sugar, water. I do like a little vanilla myself, so I threw in some vanilla. Oh, I know. This one is for another day. Okay, so that's what they look like. Mrs. K wants to eat when she's hungry and hasn't eaten lunch, so.
Miss K.
Oh man, that's good. Okay, I got a student calling, gotta go. It's an emergency.
Hello?
Nolan?